everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to start this session by thanking our wonderful sponsors who actually made this event possible. So thank you so much. And today we are going to actually learn about a really interesting topic where we're actually going to unlock the power of Slack AI, and we'll see how Slack AI actually helps us in improving our work day and effectively managing our time to make us more productive. That said, I'm Piyusha Pilania. I'm Salesforce Consulting Manager at Horizontal Digital. I am a Trailhead Forum Ambassador, and as you might have guessed, I am also a Slack Community Group Leader. Joining me today is my wonderful co-speaker, Tej. Over to you, Tej.
Hello everyone, I'm Tej Karan. I've been into the Salesforce ecosystem for over 7 years now, and I primarily work as an independent Salesforce consultant, consulting small to mid-sized businesses. I am 13x certified architect, also a Salesforce partner. So my first introduction with Slack happened like 7 years back itself on my first job. Since then, I've built like a lot of integrations between like Slack and Salesforce. I've played with like a lot of Slack apps, and currently with all the buzz around AI, Slack AI is really fascinating me. So here we are talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tej. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to cover in our today's presentation. So we will be talking about, first and foremost, Slack AI. Sorry, we're going to talk about Slack, and then we're going to talk about Slack AI. I'm just too excited and getting ahead of myself. Then we'll talk about some really interesting features which actually were launched in since Dreamforce. So these are pretty new. And then we are going to touch upon a really, really important topic as to how Slack AI actually works. And lastly, we will showcase some really interesting use cases for you all to actually use Slack AI in your day-to-day life and make it more impactful. All right, so let's get started. Well, in today's world, time is our most valuable asset. But today we waste way too much of it sifting through information. In fact, 20% of the average work week is spent searching for information. There are a lot of reasons for it actually, but then there are a few key reasons which actually consume majority of our time. So there is a lot of information to consume nowadays. We live in a world where information overload is very normal, and to add on top of that, there is a war for attention across all of the knowledge workers, and it's very difficult to actually prioritize things or just understand where we need to focus. And secondly, it's like getting difficult to find like what we need in the moment, because information is scattered like across the system. It's not one system which has all the information. So as per the recent survey, the average enterprise has over 1,000 applications across the team. So not necessarily your team is going to use all the 1,000 applications, but imagine like if you needed information from some other team and they're using 20 applications as well, and you need to figure out like where that information lies. It's going to be very tricky. And then another point which is like very important is a lot of time we don't know like whether the information we have is right or not, what is the source of this information, how accurate this is. And so it's always we are unsure of how things are moving forward. And even when we have the information, it's very challenging to figure out like what action we need to take. So As per a recent study, 47% of knowledge workers struggle to find the data or information to perform their jobs effectively. And 47% is a huge number. These people are actually a lot of time overwhelmed and even anxious by the information available to them. A lot of the employees are wasting valuable time searching for something or the other instead of doing the job they were hired to do. So customer support, for example, like customer support teams are taking longer to respond to customers. They spend too much time looking for answers, looking for experts. Sellers actually are spending about 1/3 of their time on non-selling activities. Imagine the time they can use to actually build the relationships with the customer rather than actually, doing all of these unproductive activities. Similarly, like project deadlines are being missed because you don't know like where that information lies or what information you're looking for. A lot of the time is just being spent endlessly looking for information across quickly compounding like across systems, and this actually quickly compounds over the weeks, months, and years, because imagine like per week you're spending 9.3 hours just on searching things, which is like more than a day worth of work just for searching things, which is not a good stat, right? But what can you do? Well, that's where Slack comes in. On Slack, over 700 million messages are sent per day. It's not per week, it's per day. So as teams work in Slack and knowledge across people, data, and tools like grows over time within your Slack, it could be context from past projects or background into decisions made on a past project. It could be like subject matter experts on a particular area sharing their inputs among team members. It could be anything, right? The more you're using Slack, the more your company's knowledge grows. Overall understanding of your business, what your customers or your partners are doing, is like everything is in Slack right there. It is the most comprehensive work OS that centralizes all of your people, your data, your processes, your knowledge document, videos, projects. Everything is being shared on Slack, right? Slack has been a conversational interface from day one, and it just keeps on growing. Now with Slack, you can connect with your employees and you can share a lot of these things. But all of these unstructured data is still not accessible to you or your team members in one place. It is humanly impossible for you to actually go through a very long conversation where over 10,000 messages have been exchanged. And that's a real possibility in a project channel because, for example, a project is going on for over 10 months. There's a very highly likely possibility that you might have shared like thousands of messages just for that particular Slack channel. So how can you overcome that? Well, that's when Slack AI comes into picture. When your unstructured data in Slack, structured data from CRM, and insights from AI apps all come together in Slack, organizations actually are sitting on a wealth of data and information right in Slack, which teams can harness to actually make their work smarter, find and prioritize information easily, and stay ahead of the workday. For the very first time, now you can actually tap into the unstructured data that's sitting on your Slack right at your fingertips. It's like as easy as clicking a few buttons to actually capture everything by the use of AI. Now, when I say we're going to use AI, a big question which everyone thinks about is, oh, all of my private and important data lies in Slack, but I'm not sure like how Slack AI works. And I don't know like if they're going to use my information to train their LLMs or if it's going to go out. The first thing which we need to understand is like Salesforce always focuses on really making the product not only robust, but also like very safe for organizations, because the data you're putting in Slack is not Slack's data, it's your data, and Slack doesn't want to touch it to train their LLMs. So how does this work is, as you can see with a really interesting diagram on your screen, when you put in any query or prompt from on the Slack interface, it then searches for the data, for relevant data on your Slack itself, and then summarizes it by using an LLM that is hosted on Slack platform as well. Then it generates a summary, and then it shows you that summary on your user interface itself. So it's a very straightforward process. But let's talk a bit more about the security. So when we say that Slack AI is secure by design, it means that Slack has been built to keep data safe based on based on Slack's customers' concerns. This comes down to three things. One being what data can be accessed, how that data is being used, and where does the data go. So the first being Slack AI LLMs can only access data required to respond to the prompt. They don't continuously monitor or listen in on conversations happening in the background, which is like really, really important. Then how the data is being used? Well, Slack don't use your data to train Slack's LLMs. Instead, Slack actually crafts Slack AI's prompt to ensure that they only produce result by RAG, so that LLM can respond accurately to a prompt using context from the Slack messages. And where does the data go? Well, data stays within Slack and isn't shared or handled by externally by any third-party model. The LLMs are also hosted within Slack itself, so there aren't third-party API connections that could increase risk of data leakages. Now that we have learned about all of these interesting things, let's talk about like the cool features which we want to learn today. So Slack AI has Slack actually has came up with some really, really cool AI features. One of them being the search answers. Well, search answers actually make it easier to find what you're looking for by tapping into all the knowledge you can access in Slack. It's as easy as Slack search was like already so powerful. With Slack search answers, it's like you have access to all of these things all at your fingertips. Just ask a question and come back with answers, not results. Then we have conversation summaries, where you can actually like summarize either channels or threads. A lot of time we're busy in our work and we're not actually able to go through each and every message when it's being shared, especially in project channels. So with conversation summaries, you can actually summarize the entire channel, or you can even summarize a thread. You might have had a conversation with a subject matter expert a long time ago and you don't remember like all the things that were discussed. You can just sum it up directly. Then we have recaps. Recaps are a really interesting feature, like which saves so much of my time actually every day, because it's essentially like it provides a daily digest of what's happening across different channels or project teams and everything. I can just like add those channel into my recap function, and every day once I click on that, I'll be able to see all of those recaps, which is like super amazing and super helpful as well. There are some more features which I'm going to quickly talk about, because then Tej is going to show us the presentation. We have Huddle Notes. When you're conversing with your team members on huddles, you can actually just take notes of all the things that have been discussed in a huddle, which is like super convenient. Then we have amazing AI workflow builders. Workflow builders are like really magical tools to automate your processes. Now you can even build those workflows by using AI, so you don't have to worry too much about like how you want to configure your workflows. Then we also have like workflow builder summaries, which actually help enhances like your workflow. So you can now not only like build workflows, but also summarize channel and add all of those interesting features there. Apart from these, there's a really interesting feature called file search. And with this feature, you can actually search files like that has been shared across Slack, not necessarily in a particular channel, but like everywhere. And you don't actually, the interesting part is you don't have to write the exact lines to be able to search that file. You can write a similar context that has been actually a part of that particular file. And you'll learn all about this in the upcoming demos. So without further ado, I will pass it on to Tej for those really cool demos. Over to you, Tej.
Hello everyone. So in this video, I'll be walking you through few of the core features of Slack AI. So I'm a member of Acme Technologies, and a new user, Harris, just joined my workspace this morning. So we just had a brief chat about I just checked on him, like how is he doing, if he had any plans for the weekend, and what are his likes and dislikes, and basically along those lines. So we just chatted for like few minutes, and it was almost lunchtime, and I decided to go for lunch. And right before going for lunch, Harris asked me for some help, and he needed help with like some case studies for a project. So I just thought that once I'm back, I'll help him with it. So now once I'm back, rather I can skim through all the messages and check what Harris has asked me for, or I could use one of the features of Slack AI, which is summarize the DM. So right here at the top, you will see this magic icon. If I click on it, it's going to give me summary of the messages basically. So as you can see, I just checked on Harris. We discussed hobbies and interests. We discussed our common interest for cricket. We were discussing agent force about agent force. That's when I remember Harris asked me for this case studies, which I had forgotten that time. So I'll just go ahead and send him a case study. Okay, I'll just go ahead and upload this. So as you can see, once the file gets uploaded, the GPT is running behind the scenes, and it will generate a summary for me of this file. Suppose this is like a 100-page document. So either Harris can open this and read through like the whole document, or if he wants like a summary of it, of what this document contains, he can just click like view summary, and it'll give you and it'll give him a summary of like what this document is basically. Isn't that cool? It'll save him so much time. Alright, next feature. So we can do some cool things in channels as well. So just how we summarized a DM over here, we can summarize a Slack channel. So currently we are just two of us here in the Slack, in the project Acme Salesforce implementation channel. Tomorrow, if the third person joins in, we have like tons of conversation that has already happened, and if he needs to like follow up on it, all he needs to do is again click on this magic icon, maybe just do like last 7 days, or pick a date range if it's like a 2 month long old channel. We'll just go by dates over here. Maybe I'll just do like 1st February to 18 summarize. So as you see, it's generating the summary. Again, isn't this cool? So he'll get an idea of like what all discussions have been going in this channel. We just welcomed a new member. We were preparing for client interview, discussing like different projects, and uh, there are some errors that happened, and we were helping each other on it. Another feature, we can also summarize a thread over here. So there might be like 15 to 20 messages, that happened in the thread. So rather than clicking and going through all of them, uh, we can just come to the thread and click this magic icon again. And it's going to give me a summary of it again. So in a zest, the main discussion points are about mixed DML errors that Harris is facing and how to fix it, and how Tej can just help him to fix it. Now, if I want to check like the whole conversation, I can just click this drop down. Right, moving on to another cool feature, which is the recap. So what recap is basically, okay, first of all, you see this icon over here, that's how you go to recap. With recap, you can get a summary of all the messages that happened in a particular channel on a given day. For example, I can set a recap to be sent to me at the end of the day, or maybe for all the messages that were that happened yesterday, or over the week. Actually, you can set your frequency for that. You just need to pick the channel also along with that. So it's pretty easy. Like once you click on recap, you go here, click choose channels. I can pick whatever channels I want. I'll click add one channel, and it's going to generate the recap. And every morning, like when you come here, you're gonna see it, like what messages were exchanged between users. Isn't that cool? Again. All right, now coming on to the next feature, which is search for answers, and that's pretty cool as well. So what search for answers is, basically you can just ask questions at the top over here in the search bar, and the Slack AI is actually going to search for the answers in your DMs, in the channels, or even in the files that you uploaded. So we're gonna take an example of the file over here. If you remember, and one of the channel, I helped Harris with some interview questions. So either I can go and open this document and check for answers by myself, or I could simply ask Slack AI. For example, I'll ask like suggest me some interview questions on reports and dashboard. So the Slack AI is doing its magic in the backend, and here it is. It came up with some interview questions, and it also linked the PDF from which it referred actually. Alright, so I'll be walking you through one of my most favorite feature of Slack AI now, which is recording notes with Slack AI Hurdle. So we are gonna do a test now. I'm gonna call up Ian, who just joined Acmed Technologies as a Salesforce developer. I'm gonna ring him now and just do like a test talk. Right, so that was our test, and now AI note, it says like AI note should be posted in this channel in few seconds. I'm just gonna pause this video, and because it does take like up to like half a minute or minute at times, and I'll resume back. All right, so now we have the transcripts over here, and it actually the Slack actually sends it to both the participants I and also to Ian. It's same in like other channels as well. Like if we start a hurdle in the channel, all the users would get this, who were part of it, and that's really cool. You know, if you just look at this over here, it exactly tells us that what we talked about. If you heard the recording, we were talking about integrating Slack with Salesforce for Acment Technologies, and also evaluating data cloud on Smith's requirement. And you can like actually maximize this. Click on this, and it will give you a summary of what we talked and action items for both the users. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool, right? It's gonna save you so much of time again. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.